The thing is, in the world of markers, you can only get a set of gradient markers in gray. Color gray, cool gray, warm gray, neutral gray, French gray, whatever. And that's fine. But if you need color markers, you're out of luck. Unless you make them yourself. I'm going to show you how to DIY your own color custom gradient markers using these.
My name is Eric Strebel. I'm an industrial designer. Welcome to my channel about product design and making. I hope that you like, enjoy, and become a subscriber.
Make sure that you have notifications turned on for my channel so you don't miss a single episode. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Did you know my sponsor, PCBWay, offers printed circuit board assembly services? That's right. Right now, it's only $30 for 20 PCBs, plus component sourcing. Online quoting is also available, and they currently have about a 3 to 5 day turnaround time on orders. They're randomly giving away free face masks together with orders to help fight against the COVID-19 virus. Click the link in the description below to get your next project started and prevent the spread of the COVID-19 virus. To build these custom markers, I'm going to use some old Prismacolor markers that are kind of dried up and aren't working anymore. You can use any kind of markers that you happen to have laying around. Ultimately, what we want to do is take the insides out so that we can replace them with a new color tube. I'm using the ones that say light because the diameter of these fit the diameter of the marker that I'm modifying, in this case, the Prismacolor markers. How to use your tampons. Read these directions before using. Before you begin, wash your hands. Choose a position of comfortable in... Okay, I don't think we need those instructions for this application. Now you can, in theory, just insert these right into the barrel of the marker and then fill up your ink into that. But the ones that come in the markers have a little plastic wrapper on the outside of them. So we're going to try to duplicate that. Let's do that next. I'm going to use a piece of 16 millimeter or 5/8 inch heat shrink tubing and cut that to the length of the existing color tube from inside the old Prismacolor marker. We're going to slide the little string through the heat shrink and we're going to pull it through, and that's going to work really well. You're going to put them end to end, and we'll get a nice tube here that we can fill up with our ink a little bit later. So the third way that I'm going to make these color tubes is I'm going to use some of this clear heat shrink. This is like the seal it stuff that they put on the top of bottles for like a safety cap that you pull off. I just happen to have a whole bunch of this 16 millimeter clear tubing. Honestly, the heat shrink worked really, really well. I just don't have a lot of it, so I'm going to make all of my color tubes with this clear stuff. It basically amounts to the same thing, and it works really, really well. Again, put the two pads end to end and insert them into the tube so we can make our color tubes here. It works really well. So you're just going to make as many of those as you need for however many markers you're going to make. Ultimately, I'm going to make about 9 or 10 of these markers, so I got to do this a few more times. We need some alcohol ink, and I'm going to show you how you can get some free ink robbing it from a pen. So this is an old ballpoint pen. I've pulled the tube out of the inside, and I'm taking the ink out by heating the tube and letting it flow into a cup. And we're going to add a little denatured alcohol into that. And this is one way that you could make your own ink if you don't have any. I'll leave a link in the description below to some different alcohol inks that you could use for your marker project. But ultimately, you want an alcohol-based ink. The colorant that I'm going to use to do these markers is from Smooth On, and I'll leave a link in the description below to that. It's what I happen to have in hand, and we're going to make a set of red gradient markers. Okay, let's meter out 15 milliliters of denatured alcohol. That's going to be the alcohol solvent that I'm going to use to make my ink. To this alcohol, we're going to add about 30 drops of red to finally get this solution. Put some on a Q-tip so we can kind of test out the intensity, and that's going to be pretty good for our base marker. So we need to get the custom ink that we just made into the color tubes that we previously made. I'm using a glass syringe to draw the ink that we made out of the cup that we mixed it in so that I can inject it into the color tubes. If you don't have a syringe, you could just pour it out of the cup right into the color tube. It'll take a little longer, but it will work. Since we're basically reusing the nibs from these existing markers and they used to be gray, we need to add a little bit of color and infuse these nibs, because it will take a little while for you to sort of work out the old marker from the nibs. Be prepared for that, just to get them flowing and using the correct color that you just added to your marker. So we'll insert the color tubes, pop the ends back onto the marker, and essentially you've just made a brand new marker. So let's do this a few more times. Okay, so we've made the first set of 5 markers. Let's call them 1 to 5. Now, we need to do the darker colors. Let's make those next. Let's be a little smarter about how we mix the ink for the darker colors and load everything right into these Luer lock squeeze bottles. So from your basic color theory, you remember to make a color darker, you can add either the opposite color or some black. I don't want to go for the black, so we're going to add a little bit of green into this, and we'll start darkening up the red to make the darker values. And I'll leave a link in the description below to these Luer lock squeeze bottles that I sell on eBay. So we'll do this a few more times, changing the formula every time to make the ink a little bit darker so that we can make the rest of the sets of the markers. We'll talk about the formula a little bit later in the video, and I'll actually show you what that is so that you can make your own marker set or use that formula as a base guide. You can see the ink is getting quite a bit darker than where we started in the red, and this took a little bit of trial and error, but you'll have to sort of work through it to get the colors that you want. The beautiful thing, it'll be totally custom for you. I'm going to make some custom labels, because quite honestly, the labels that come on the existing markers, like the Prismacolors, are terrible. They freaking suck. You spend more time hunting around finding the marker that you want than actually using the marker, because you can't tell what value the marker is that you're using. I mean, did the designers even try out the stuff that they design when they do these labels? I don't think so. I mean, they're terrible. Anyway, I'm using some labels from my label maker so they come out black and white, and then I add the red on top of that. Simple, easy, clear, to the point. All right, let's do the value scale of the markers, and I'll show you the formula as well. So everything is made with 15 milliliters of denatured alcohol and then just drops of ink on top of that. The darker ones on the left have green and red. The very last one has black. Let's try out these markers. I guarantee you, these are going to be the juiciest markers you've ever used in your life. They're fantastic. All right, let's shade up the first cube. We'll do this one as a very light value, maybe 10% red cube. And if you don't know how to add the values to a cube or how this works, I've done a video on this. It's called Halfway to Black. It's a method that allows you to estimate the value of an object that you're adding color to. I'll leave a link to that video up here in the top right. Each of these 3 cubes is getting a little bit darker, and I'm able to easily accomplish that with this set of custom gradient markers, something that you cannot buy in the store. Have fun, you can do it yourself. Post on social media and make sure you tag @Botzen Design and let me see what you come up with. Good luck. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hey, and don't forget to follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook sometimes, Twitter usually, and now Instagram. Rock on. Click here to check out some of the other design and making videos that I have that you might enjoy.